Hello and welcome to Chakra News. There's been a deadly car bomb blast in Delhi near the Red Fort on the 10th of November. Nine persons have been killed, several critically injured. I have with me Major Manik Jolly, a long-time counterinsurgency veteran of Jammu and Kashmir, also the author of Kupwara Codes. Major Jolly, welcome to Chakra News.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. Always a pleasure to talk, though I wish we were talking in better times. Uh, it's been there's a lot of chaos in Delhi since yesterday, and
Absolutely. And Major Jolly, what are your first thoughts on this when you saw this blast? The visuals of that. Were you absolutely clear in your mind that this was a terror attack? Though I believe the government has not called it a terror attack yet. Investigations are still on.
today early morning I saw that just taking on the last point that a FIR has been registered
Right.
under some act in which it's about blast has been mentioned there, or explosives have been mentioned. So I think the legal connotation would be that it is being taken as terror attack.
Right.
Coming back to the original question that you asked, I think even before the blast happened, when the huge cache of ammonium nitrate was found in Faridabad, right?
Right.
And this was linked to uh, the arrest that was made in J&K.
Right.
Uh, I knew myself that if this is the warehouse, a distribution model, spoke and hub, something would have gone somewhere. And
Right.
it is not just one consignment which we saw yesterday blasting. There must be quite possibly, I hope it is recovered before it amounts to anything else. And by evening, when the blast happened, people were saying CNG. When you look at blast sites, you can make out that this can't be CNG gas, the modern CNG kits, the gas leaks. And what it does is it catches fire. Yes, there's an explosion also, but not of this magnitude. Secondly, if it is a EV battery getting fired, so we often see that, right? Videos of EV getting fire.
Cars
It's
on
just
fire.
one car in flames.
That's right.
Yeah, and we live in Delhi, right? We've seen sometimes these electric buses have caught fire and all that. That is a single vehicle on fire. The blast does not happen.
Right.
This was a typically vehicle-based ID kind of thing, where because the way around 50, 100 meters, and just to quantify that, a cylinder blast of a CNG or any cylinder, the radius does not exceed 15 meter.
Right.
There, here, you could see cars getting shattered almost 100 meters away. So, if there are barriers in the shock wave, like each car is actually a barrier,
Right.
if this was a CNG blast, it would not have gone beyond the second car because
Right.
it would have acted like a wall. But the momentum was such, it means there was explosive. So the moment this happened, within an hour, I was on the CNN guys had called and I was talking. I said, they were saying, everybody saying whether it is this. I said, I'm very sure this is a explosive.
Right.
It, I turn out to be wrong, I'll be happy about it. I don't know. But at the way you look at a blast site, this cannot be a CNG cylinder because gas leak is more incendiary in nature. This is more, a different nature. Secondly, the argument of there is no crater also is not that solid. There are tons of explosions that happen that do not cause a massive crater into the ground.
Right.
The car chassis also acts as a buffer.
Yes.
And then there are no shrapnels actually points to two theories. One, ammonium nitrate based explosive or any modern chemical explosive would have been used. And the people who blasted it had the understanding that when you have a lot of vehicles around,
Yes.
the glass, metal, plastic from them becomes shrapnel anyway.
Right.
And when the vehicles mangle due to the explosion, you don't need actually pellets or all going on.
Ah.
And also,
Right.
and
So I
also
just
what
want to
happens
mention
is,
to our viewers what Major Jolly is saying is that usually explosives IEDs are packed with shrapnel to enhance the lethality of the blast. They use steel pellets. They use all kinds of nuts, bolts, shrapnel and all that. But as you correctly pointed out, Major Jolly, that this is possibly something that they skipped for exactly the reasons that you mentioned. That they wanted to use the vehicles around uh, to amplify the blast itself. Are you saying that this was deliberate? It was not an accident, the bomb going off in traffic?
It could be both, actually. It could be both. Maybe the guy. Now we have a lot of information, right? Today morning, when we were discussing again with CNN guys, and thankfully I got updated also what's happening. They've got the guy they've identified the guy who carried out the bombing, and he was in parking for a few hours. Then
Right.
he was roaming around in the car. He did not get a chance to gather the shrapnels, those exactly the steel pellets. Those ball bearings are the favorite shrapnels actually, and nails. He did not get a chance to do that. And B, he did understand that so many explosions happen. What when these explode? What do you remember Beirut explosion, right?
Yes, absolutely. The
When
2020
when
uh, ammonium nitrate blast.
hundreds of tons of ammonium nitrate blew up, and there was not even a single shrapnel.
Right.
But houses kilometers away, as far as 5-7 kilometers away, had their glasses shattered.
Right.
So what these explosives do is they create a very fast moving air out,
Yes.
creates a vacuum, and the air rushes back in.
Right.
Both these movements are pretty lethal for human body. We don't have, we are not metal that
Right.
much. So these guys understood. He was a doctor. He pretty much knew that. Sorry, got a little cough and cold. Uh, now, this guy, what he did was now, as I understood, it has been confirmed that it was ammonium nitrate, a
Right.
fuel oil based thing.
Right.
So it's a reaction which you just have to add fuel oil and it takes on ANFO, it is called,
NFO. Right.
and yeah, it causes a pretty massive blast actually. If I mean, Beirut is a great example to showcase that.
And of course, the blast in that Timothy McVeigh get done in Oklahoma
Yes,
five,
exactly.
3 decades ago.
Yeah. So, one thing I'd like to say, I would like to point out here, we need to learn a lot about crime scene management.
Right.
Yesterday, uh, journalists and locals and police, everybody was just walking around the crime scene and touching anything and
Yes.
lifting up, and
Contaminating
even
the
cops
crime
actually.
scene. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and Timothy was caught. The entire investigation hinged around one piece of metal which was caught 5 meters away, 500 meters away.
Right.
Single piece of metal from the car, which had a scraped off number, but partial number led them to detect the whole thing.
Right.
So you never know what is the clue that you're looking for, and if you contaminate the crime scene like that, I think we can do better. That's my point.
Right. Absolutely. But what do you think happened? You're experienced in counterinsurgency. You've worked extensively with the JK police, and you know how crime cells, how these terrorist cells function. What do you think happened here? The police, the investigating agencies were very swift. They neutralized that module in Faridabad. Do you think this was a reaction to that? That they just went ahead with the plan when they discovered that they'd been caught, or was this the plan all along to create? I'm not missing the fact that yesterday was the 10th of November. That's the 6 month anniversary of Operation Sindoor. Was this the plan all along? You think?
I don't think it has anything to do with the 6 month anniversary because anyway, Op Sindoor was a kind of a dicey date
Right.
that night, 1 a.m. and when we took off. So that I personally I don't feel it has any connect with that, but the Faridabad raid had definitely a lot to do with it. If you give me a chance to go back a little, see what I think, right? Uh, with we all accept that this is Pakistan run terror networks.
Right.
Uh, the regime change that was uh, the control that Asim Munir wanted would have come only. So it but as good as me. Pakistan Army was taking a lot of beating around BLA and everywhere
Right.
and everywhere.
Right.
He wanted a face saving, and
Right.
no face saving comes better than doing something with India.
Right.
So Pahalgam was the start actually.
Right.
They had planned to carry out a lot of terror actions in India, and Pahalgam was the start. The creating of this 3,000 ton and kgs of ammonium nitrate, you don't radicalize somebody overnight, right?
Right.
These sleeper cells were already existing from many years. These doctors and all these things, they were put in motion. And these guys came here and started making base and everything. After Pahalgam, a long gap came because we did Op Sindoor, which they did not anticipate. The moment, and it is the history with Pakistan, the moment we normalize, the moment we get a little complacent, they strike back. And this was in preparation of that, that doctor caught with ricin and these guys with explosives. All this was plan of, all these are like sub plans of a bigger plan. I'm sorry, I'll just take a sip of water. So what happened here is, in a freak coincidence, the doctor got caught who was putting posters and all. And he's not a hardcore terrorist, right? He's not some guy who's he's a sleeper cell who's organizing stuff. So in his interrogation, he would have quickly given away everything. Fine, this is what is happening, and that is why such precise raid happened in Faridabad, and they caught the next network. Now, what would have happened? As I said in the beginning, one consignment of explosive they would have sent to Delhi, which this guy was carrying, as I'm sure others would have gone. But this guy knew that if they are moving so precisely, one is the hunt is on. You don't know who will get caught. But when he can see all these guys are Pulwama guys, right?
Right.
The doctors here.
The whole cell
They
was.
studied in, yes, Pulwama Government Medical College. They were working, studying, teaching. So he knew when those guys have caught, definitely my number is next. There was a lot of discussion around why was this guy roaming around? Why did he park there for 3 hours? You have to understand ideology of these guys, suicide bombers. Uh, Once he moved from his house in the car entered Delhi through Padarpur border. He was carrying explosive with him, ready to blast anytime. He said, "My game is done." The when he was moving around, he would have definitely figured out the area, the Chandni Chowk area, Red Fort area. These are the most crowded ones.
Right.
If I do something, I'll do something here. But as I can speculate, he was waiting for peak traffic hours, that evening jam packed, right? B, the time he spent was he was trying to connect with his bosses or somebody, give me direction, what to do. I will be caught. They'll come for me next. And maybe the only direction he's got was, boss, time aa gaya. You do your thing. The 3 hours he spent in parking, again, two possibilities, and both could combine also. One, he waited for peak traffic hours. And second, he prayed. These are very ideologically driven people. I mean, you have to understand how deeply radicalized they are, that they're blowing themselves up for that. So generally, they pray before before the attack, which can go on for hour or two, and then you sit and make peace with what you're going to do. So I would place my entire money on the thing that he was sitting there and praying, or maybe he called a couple of people he needed to. And there's a masjid in front. He could have gone there for his last prayer or something. These are, I think, the last. But he knew for sure that the police is coming for him. And the thing is, police announced one raid that they have caught this thing in Faridabad. Uh, and obviously, they'll not tell the next lead is in Delhi or anywhere.
Right.
They announce once the operation is done. But this guy knew that if they have been caught, next number is mine. So what he did was that now I see the bomb was ready. He was ready to do everything. That is final. He moved out. Only two things could have happened. Either he was carrying that bomb to a, another location where he planned to, maybe not that area.
Right.
Or secondly, this red light and a symbolic gesture of blasting it in front of Red Fort, where
Right.
our Tiranga flies and the PM. So that, proverbial key, I'm standing in front of your fort and doing it.
Right.
So, so either of these, because everything is, this is hardly mathematics. This is very ideological. This is very deep into how thinking. There's a lot of symbolism in everything. So that is how these guys operate. This place, I think, was very well chosen. I still feel that he did not want to go. He wouldn't have planned to go ahead anywhere because, as far as target and taking out maximum casualties, this red light in front of Red Fort is as good as anything, right?
Right. Highly
So,
symbolic. It's a very symbolic kind of thing, as you mentioned. It's in front of the Red Fort.
yeah,
heart of Delhi. All those symbology are, attached with the location. And of course, you're killing innocent civilians, which is what the Pak deep state does all the time. Uh, but
And very tightly packed at 7 p.m.
right, peak traffic, as you mentioned. But Major Jolly, I have to ask you this: how many more of these cells you think are out there? Is this just one cell, or possibly they would have worked on several? Because the whole concept of cells is that you create several of them, and one does not know what the other is doing.
So I think at a random figure, there would be around easily 40 to 50 such cells running in India.
40 to
But
50 cells.
again, most definitely, without a doubt. How is a cell defined? Before the numbers look shocking to you, a group of individuals handled by a single handler created for a particular task. Not every cell is working on carrying explosive and doing bomb blast. There are cells which are working only for infrastructure and funding. There are cells who are working only on education systems. मदरसास को जाना वहाँ पे radicalization करना all that thing. So this is the lowest. I've been very conservative about it because I'm not in service anymore, so I don't have access to latest equipment. इतना तो जरूर होगा. And all these are run by different agencies also because when you create this cell, a tanzeem there, let's say, Jaish-e-Mohammed would be running their cells. ISI would be running their cells. Some ISKP guy would be running their cells. So there's a possibility of at least these number of cells operating in India. Their capability cannot be defined in number of. So also this, I mean, I would like to but, take your view also on this, that I personally feel that their capability cannot be defined in the number of guns and explosives they carry.
Right,
Some are doing a lot of damage just by the radicalization and the activities they're carrying out in madrasa, schools, all that.
right.
So each doing his own task, what they are signed for.
Absolutely. It's always the man behind the machine, as they say. And in this case, it's always the extent to which an individual can be radicalized. We haven't seen very many suicide bombing attacks in India. Given our whole history of counterinsurgency also I think all of Kashmir, there would have been, what, a handful of suicide attacks. There have been a few. Uh, we had Biren Singh, the chief minister, being assassinated
Yeah.
3 decades ago by a suicide bomber.
So Sandeep, here's the thing: a suicide, we associate suicide. The moment the second word comes is bomber,
Right.
right? The Fidain.
Yes.
I mean, technically, when centuries ago the concept started, these guys were the first to go and lay down their lives,
Right.
in opening the fort walls, gates, and all that. From there, uh, it has been carried on. S- Two terrorists who tried to barge into an enemy camp, oh sorry, army camp, and they know their enemy is going to kill them,
Right.
are a suicide bomber per se, technically.
Right.
They know they'll not come out alive. They get in with, no, we will die, but we'll take as many as well. It is just that the bomb part is missing to
Right.
fight with the rifles. So in that case, we have been seeing the suicide terrorists. But bombing, I agree with you that because there's also a logic to it. In 90s and early 2000, uh, army learned,
Right.
as you operate in CI, the organization also gains some lessons
Right.
how a vehicle which is trying to ram, we can stop it.
Yeah.
How we can, blast it far away.
Right.
So they did realize that couple of these sections have failed because there are barriers after barriers after barriers. You can't get anywhere.
Right.
So rather than trying to ram a car or exploiting yourself to no impact, people picked up guns and started active fighting.
Right. And of course, let's not forget the Pulwama suicide bombing attack, where
Yeah,
literally that got India and Pakistan to the brink of war. We struck at Jabba Top in 2019. That was
yeah.
also triggered off by a suicide bombing. So is Jaish seems to be, this has the fingerprints of Jaish-e-Mohammed
Yes.
behind this. So the
Yeah, I agree with you. But I mean, I tend to not get swayed too much by the nomenclature.
right.
All terrorists are, they are just, my logo is different and I'll just have a different name, but all of them intend to. But for the academic purpose, I think these signatures mean a lot because then you know who to go after, which traces to follow, which source to activate. So this, as of now, has a lot of signature element of how Jash operates.
Right.
Uh, they
So,
are very
yeah.
they are explosive fans.
Right. They're explosive fans, of course, and they've carried out several attacks in the past. What do you think is going to be our response to this? You know, the Prime Minister was very clear on the 10th of May when he said, 12th of May, when he said that any attack would on India would be seen as an act of war. You see India retaliating massively for this?
So that is a very big question, actually. The thing is, you follow it even more than me. You know how success just after Option 2, how Pakistan has been graduating its military. They've been purchasing stuff, they've been activating, they've been upgrading, they've
Right.
been doing everything. So things have changed a little that also. Not that we ever worry about them. That's not the point. The point is the level of attrition increases when it stretches long. And do we want to get into that? It's easy to say that attack kar do, but if it in so they have put, to be honest, they put India in a spot कि अब declare कर दिया था. And for Pakistan, carrying out a terror attack is just like having a breakfast, right? They do it every day, everywhere.
Right.
So they said, ठीक है, we'll do another terror attack. Let's see what India does. And India is, I mean, we are not the way we were in May when we started Option 2. Since then, we have been isolated much more. Since then, we have done actions to prove that we are ready to take our own decisions, so we don't need to listen to anyone, which is right. When
Right.
you do that, but the isolation is a little severe right now compared to what it was that time. We were more friendly terms with the major, you know, stakeholders in the world. As of now, I think what this time, one thing I know about PM Modi is he does what not anybody is anticipating,
Right.
right? Whenever he does. So I don't know what he does. Maybe go for another surgical strike or an air raid or something like that. But it cannot go unanswered. That's for sure. So something has to be done. Because otherwise it'll just become, see, we did it and you couldn't do anything at all.
Right.
And that I don't think this government or PM is ready to accept. So, and it is not the government actually, I think more than government, we don't have appetite for war. The moment there is, we want to go to war, we want to kill entire Pakistan, we want to dis- destroy the country. The moment we have one casualty, the moment there's a news of a jet crashing, or so, everybody starts questioning: Is this what is armed forces is? Is this what is happening?
Right.
No, if you have to get in combat, you have to be ready to accept losses also. So, as a nation, we have to develop appetite for that level of violence.
Right.
If we are ready to, I think as a leader, he would be happy to lead.
Absolutely. And, coming back to that point that you made, Major Jolly, about the fact that there are many cells out there, many more cells, do you see this as a return to a kind of pre 2008 kind of situation where you had a lot of serial blasts across India? You think the Pakistan deep state is banking on that strategy that Generals Kayani and Musharraf tried with us almost 2 decades ago? You think Munir is going back to that strategy, and what's going to be our response to it?
I think that's the only strategy they have. They have nothing else. They can't engage us in conventional war. I mean, it's impossible that they'll start something.
Right.
That is gone. So what do they have? Asymmetric war, and they'll try and do all these bomb blasts and something. You cannot take away the possible. See, as a int guy, I'm trained to think the worst possible
Right.
scenario, and then prepare for it. Agencies cannot think of abhi sab theek hai, let's chill. They cannot. At every point, you're thinking what's the worst that can happen. And the worst that can happen is these serial blasts happening continuously, and we go into that era pre 2014 and all that. But are we better equipped to handle it? Are we more retaliatory in nature? Are we more aggressive? That's the defining difference. So every time they've done something major, we've given them a great answer. That is a great deterrent. A, secondly, the security setup is better. B, when you have something going on consistently, these networks were very active. The infrastructure was more aligned. It's like running any a supply chain of any other business or activity. When you're doing it for 10 years and not much problem happening, पीछे background में कोई support है पूरा, the alignment, it's a well-oiled machine. Those backs have been broken very solid in last 10 years. Mm. For them to revive that would be a big challenge, actually. So I would, just to say a yes or no kind of a thing, possibility, yes, but it'll be very, very difficult for them to achieve. So we cannot go back to that era, but yes, they can carry out some random attacks here and there because uh, we are not equipped, our polices are not trained, we don't have enough security setups where you can detect every piece of equipment moving around. The very porous nature of borders we have on two, three sides. So possibility, yes, but that going back to that, I don't think that's possible now.
Right, absolutely. That's heartening to hear indeed, because we were at our weakest and most vulnerable, Major Jolly, in 2008. If you remember those days, they were dark days indeed. But you've given us some hope and a glimmer of hope, actually, about how India of the today is not the India of the past. But thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts, and we'll keep coming back to you for news and insights. Thank you very much, Major Jolly.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks.